I want to make legislation in the future to make mental health care better, to make living conditions better, to make access to healthcare in general better.
Elena, you mentioned when we were kind of preparing for this session something about being disconnected from our identity. I was wondering if you could build on that, because I think this is also a contributing factor. And I think what Leon said about the safe environment and a meaningful workplace is great, but I don't know if everybody is quite there yet. And I feel that that has an impact on how they feel in the workplace.
Liran pointed out a really important thing, which is that work gives people identity. We spend, I don't know what, like a third of our entire life working. So that's a major thing that gives us a sense of meaning, purpose, or ideally should give us a sense of meaning and purpose. A lot of the work that we do nowadays, like we have the privilege, a lot of us here speaking today, that a lot of us have built up an NGO, or we're lawyers, or we have some kind of really important work that comes from our own passions, where we're like, I suffered from mental health earlier and now I'm working to make that better. And that can often be very therapeutic. But there's a bunch of people, probably the majority of the world population, who work in, I don't know, supermarkets, stocking up kind of shelves the entire day. Or even if you're a graphic designer, you make graphics, but ultimately it's about producing things for other people, and then they define whether they like it or not. You're not making it for yourself. And as such, we're kind of alienated from our work. The majority of the world's population do stuff which isn't even their passion and isn't even for them. And this is where the whole point of mental health comes in, right? Mental health is so intricately linked to a sense of autonomy, to a sense of meaning, to a sense of purpose. And that's often not guaranteed, not just because the working environment is not enabling or not encouraging, just because the entire economic system isn't enabling and encouraging. So doing little changes left and right and making the workplace nicer and kind of challenging the stigma is helpful, but it will never overcome that massive problem of the, I guess, just to put in some keywords, capitalist neoliberal economic system. And I had to do that.
I think this
Sorry.
is one of your favorite terms, right?
It is. It seriously is. Because the rewards that we get, to put in some psychology terms now, we we can either have like intrinsic rewards and work for intrinsic rewards, do something because we want to do it, or we can work for or do things for extrinsic rewards. And most of the workplace is for extrinsic rewards. Similarly, that affects where we think that our locus of control is coming from. If I think I have control over my life, that will be great for my mental health. If I think other people have control over my life, like I'm applying for a job and I'll just take the next best thing because I literally do not have control over where the hell I'm going to end up and get a job, that's an external locus of control. And that is horrible for mental health. I was asking then my professor, hey, why is it that there are so many people in lower socioeconomic groups of society, kind of in the working class, who have mental health issues? How is it that income is so linked to mental health issues? And my professor was like, oh, Elena, that has to do with downward mobility. You know, if you're not performing well at a job, you're going to lose your job and get kicked out and slowly spiral to the bottom. And since mental illness is both caused by environmental factors as well as biological predisposition, there is a biological inheritance factor. Plus, then, in just as I said before, with working class jobs being rather unfulfilling, having an external locus of control, extrinsic rewards, et cetera, that lower socioeconomic strata is horrible for mental health and will produce more mental illness than, you know, if you have a chill life and you can just sit outside on your balcony and have a Zoom call like me.
I wanted to ask everybody on the panel for maybe one. Yeah, okay. What one thing, just one, would you change in the workplace to help improve mental health? Elena, you look so ready to answer this, so go.
One thing would be to introduce a universal basic income, because that will create the opportunity for people to have the security that they can work for intrinsic rewards rather than extrinsic rewards and feel like they have an internal locus of control.